I never thought moving into a new house would become the worst decision of my life. My name is Ryan. I live in New Jersey. I had just gotten a new job, so I needed a cheaper, quieter place to stay. That's when I found the house online. It was strangely cheap. The location was decent, the place looked clean, and it was almost fully furnished. Yet the rent was low. At first, I thought I just got lucky. Now I know it wasn't luck. The first day I went to see the house, something already felt off. The landlord, an old man, wouldn't look me directly in the eyes. I asked him, "Why is the rent so low?" He paused for a moment and said, "People don't stay here very long." I laughed and replied, "I'm a quiet person, I'll be fine." He didn't say anything after that. As he handed me the keys, he just said, "At night, make sure you lock the doors and windows properly." At the time, I didn't think much of it. I moved in on the third day. The first 2 days were completely normal. But on the third night, everything started. It was around 2 a.m. I was asleep. Suddenly, I felt like someone was watching me. It's that kind of feeling you can't really explain. I opened my eyes and saw my room in darkness, but near the door, there was a shadow. I sat up and said, "Hello, who's there?" No response. I turned on the light. Nothing. I told myself it was just a dream and went back to sleep. But from that night, the uneasiness began. The next morning, I noticed something strange. One of the kitchen drawers was open. I was sure I had closed everything before going to bed. I thought maybe I just forgot. New place, I told myself, it happens. But on the fourth night, it happened again. This time, I was awake. I was working on my laptop. Then I heard a sound from the hallway. Talk, talk, talk. Like slow footsteps. I got up and walked toward the hallway. No one was there. But the moment I reached the doorway, the sound stopped. That wasn't a coincidence. I could feel it. That night, I slept with all the lights on. On the fifth day, I noticed something even worse. There was a handprint on my bathroom mirror. From the inside, like someone had been there. But I live alone. I tried to wipe it off, but my hands were shaking. Because the handprint wasn't my size. And one more thing, it was still wet. That's when I decided I needed a camera. That afternoon, I bought a small security camera and set it up in the living room. It covered part of the hallway too. I kept telling myself, it's all in my head. But I didn't know the truth yet. That night, I stayed awake on purpose. As soon as the clock hit 3 a.m., my phone buzzed. Motion detected. I froze. My heart started racing. Slowly, I opened the camera app. The living room looked empty. But then, the camera shifted slightly, like something just walked past it. But nothing was visible, only a shadow, sliding across the wall. I couldn't move. Then from the hallway, that same sound again. Talk, talk, talk. This time closer. I slowly turned my head toward my door. It was slightly open. Through the gap, I could see the dark hallway. And inside that darkness, something moved. I held my breath. Suddenly, the door creaked open a little more. Creak. And that's when I saw it. Through the gap, a face. Not fully. Just one eye. White, unnaturally large. And it was staring directly at me. I was about to scream, when suddenly the lights went out. The entire house went dark. And in that darkness, I clearly heard something stepping inside my room. I couldn't move. My entire body felt frozen. like something was pressing me down into the bed. The darkness in the room felt heavy. I could hear it now. Breathing. Slow, uneven, right inside my room. Not mine. Something else. I tried to reach for my phone beside the bed, but my hand wouldn't listen. It felt like my muscles had just stopped working. The only thing I could do was listen. Talk. A step. Talk. Another one. It was walking slowly across my room. Getting closer. My heart was pounding so loud, I was sure whatever was in there could hear it. Then suddenly, it stopped, right next to my bed. The breathing got louder, closer, like it was leaning over me, watching me. I wanted to scream, but no sound came out, not even a whisper. Then I felt it, something cold, right next to my ear. A faint whisper, "You shouldn't have come here." At that exact moment, the lights came back on. I jumped up immediately. The room was empty. Nothing. No one. Just me, standing there shaking. I grabbed my phone with trembling hands and opened the camera app. I replayed the footage from a few minutes ago. At first, everything looked normal. Empty room. Silent hallway. Then, at exactly 3:02 am, the video glitched. Static filled the screen for a second. And then, something appeared. A figure, standing in the hallway. Tall. Too tall. Its head almost touching the ceiling. Its body unnaturally thin. I froze as I watched. The figure didn't move at first. It just stood there, facing the camera. Then slowly, its head tilted, like it was curious. And then, it started walking. Talk, talk, talk. The same sound. It walked toward my room. Step by step. Slow. Deliberate. As it got closer, the camera started glitching again. The image distorted, but I could still see it. Barely. Its face was wrong. No clear features. Just darkness. Except for one thing. Its eyes. Wide. White. And staring. It reached my door. Stopped. And then, it leaned forward, looking directly into my room. Looking at me, even though I knew it was just a recording. I felt like it was watching me right now, through the screen. Then suddenly, the video cut out. I dropped my phone. My hands were shaking uncontrollably. That wasn't a dream. That wasn't my imagination. Something was inside this house. I didn't sleep at all that night. The next morning, I went straight to the landlord. I needed answers. He opened the door slowly. The moment he saw my face, he knew something was wrong. I said, "There's something in that house." He stayed silent, didn't even look surprised. I showed him the footage, my hands still shaking. He watched it quietly. No reaction, no shock, nothing. After a few seconds, he sighed and said, "I told you people don't stay long." My anger snapped. "What is that thing?" He hesitated, then finally said, "It wasn't always like this." I stared at him, waiting. "There was a family," he continued. "A long time ago. Father, mother, and a little girl." My chest tightened. "They moved in just like you." At first, everything was normal. But after a few weeks, the girl started saying someone was watching her. My blood ran cold. The parents ignored it. They thought it was just imagination. He looked at me now, straight in the eyes, for the first time. But then the girl started talking to it. A chill went down my spine, saying it lived in the walls, saying it watched them at night. I whispered, "What happened to them?" He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he said something that made my stomach drop. "They disappeared." Silence. No signs of forced entry. No bodies. Nothing. I felt like I couldn't breathe. And after that, he said slowly, "People started seeing it." I stepped back. "Why didn't you tell me this before?" He looked away. "You wouldn't have taken the house." I clenched my fists. "I'm leaving," I said. He nodded. "Most people say that." Something about the way he said it didn't feel right. "What do you mean?" I asked. He looked back at me with a strange expression. "It doesn't like it when people try to leave." A cold wave ran through my body. I didn't say another word. I just turned and walked away. But as I stepped out of his house, my phone buzzed. Motion detected. I froze. Slowly, I looked at the notification. It was from the camera inside my house. I opened the app, and what I saw made my blood run cold. The camera was showing my bedroom, but I wasn't there. Instead, that thing was standing inside my room, right where I had been sleeping, and it was staring directly into the camera. Then slowly, it raised one long, thin arm and pointed at the door, like it knew I was coming back. I couldn't take my eyes off the screen. That thing, it was inside my room, standing exactly where I had been sleeping, and it was pointing at the door. My heart started pounding again, harder than before. It felt like it wasn't just a random movement. It felt like a message, like it was telling me something, or worse, waiting for me. I closed the app immediately. My hands were shaking too much to hold the phone steady. "No, I'm not going back there," I whispered to myself. But then, another thought hit me. My wallet, my laptop, everything I owned was still inside that house. I stood there for a long moment, torn between fear and logic. Finally, I convinced myself, it's daytime, nothing will happen. That was a mistake. When I reached the house, everything looked normal. Too normal. The door was exactly how I left it. Locked. Silent. For a few seconds, I just stood there, staring at it. Then slowly, I unlocked the door. The moment I stepped inside, a cold air brushed past me, the kind of cold that doesn't feel natural. I shut the door behind me, and the sound echoed through the house. Thud. It felt louder than it should have. "Just grab your stuff and leave," I told myself. I walked quickly toward my room, trying not to look around. But as I passed the hallway, I froze. The bathroom door was open. I was sure I had left it closed. A slow dripping sound came from inside. Drip, drip, drip. I swallowed hard. I shouldn't look. I knew I shouldn't, but I did. I stepped closer and peeked inside. The sink was on, water dripping slowly, and the mirror, it was covered in handprints. Not just one, dozens, different sizes, small, large, twisted, like multiple people had been pressing their hands against it. From the inside, my chest tightened. Then suddenly, one more handprint appeared. right in front of me, as if something invisible had just pressed its hand against the mirror. I stumbled back. "Nope, I'm done," I whispered. I turned around and rushed toward my room. I grabbed my bag, my laptop, everything I could. I didn't even check properly. I just wanted out. But as I turned to leave, I heard something behind me. "Talk." I froze. "Talk." Slow footsteps coming from inside my room. But I was standing in my room. That meant something else was there with me. I didn't turn around. I couldn't. The footsteps stopped right behind me. I could feel it, standing there, close, too close. Then, a whisper right next to my ear. "You came back." My entire body went cold. I dropped everything and ran. I didn't care anymore. I just ran out of the house. I didn't stop until I reached the street. I stood there gasping for air, trying to process what just happened. I was done. Completely done. I booked a motel immediately, far from that place. That night I tried to calm myself, tried to think logically. Maybe it's stress. Maybe I'm imagining things. But deep down, I knew the truth. At around 1:30 a.m., I finally lay down. The room was quiet, normal, safe. For the first time in days, I felt a little relief. But then, my phone buzzed. I slowly picked it up. A new notification. Unknown number. A message. I opened it. It was a picture. A picture of me, sleeping in that motel room. My blood ran cold. My hands started shaking again. No, no, no. I slowly looked up at the dark corner of the room. For a moment, nothing. Then, something moved. A shadow, too tall, too thin, standing silently in the corner, watching me. It followed me. I couldn't breathe. That thing, it was in the motel room, with me. I didn't move. I didn't even blink. My eyes were locked on that dark corner. At first, it didn't move either. Just stood there, watching. Then slowly, its head tilted, the same way it did in the camera footage, like it was studying me. My hands were trembling. I tried to grab my phone again, but this time, I didn't dare look away. Then suddenly, it took a step forward. "Talk." The same sound. That same slow, unnatural step. My chest felt tight, like the air was being sucked out of the room. "Talk." Another step. Closer. The shadow started to become clearer. Still too dark to see details, but I could tell. It was too tall. Its arms were too long, and its body looked wrong. I finally snapped. I jumped out of the bed and ran straight for the door. I didn't look back. I didn't care. I just ran. I burst out into the motel hallway, breathing heavily. A couple walking past looked at me like I was crazy. But I didn't care. I turned around. The room door was still open. Dark, empty, like nothing was ever there. I slowly stepped back inside. The room looked normal again. Too normal. The corner was empty. I checked everywhere. Bathroom, closet, under the bed. Nothing. But my phone was still on the bed. I walked toward it slowly. Every step felt heavy. I picked it up. Another message from the same unknown number. This time, it wasn't a picture. It was a text. "You can't leave." My hands went cold. I typed back, "What do you want?" For a few seconds. No reply. Then, a new message came. "You saw me." My heart dropped. Another message. "Now you belong here." "No," I whispered. I grabbed my bag again. This time I wasn't stopping. I went straight to the front desk. "I'm checking out now." The receptionist looked confused. "It's the middle of the night." "I don't care," I snapped. I paid and walked out. I got into my car, locked all the doors. For the first time, I felt a little distance, like maybe I was finally getting away. I started driving. No destination, just away. The road was empty, dark, only the sound of the engine. After a few minutes, I glanced at the rearview mirror, and my heart stopped. It was sitting in the back seat, perfectly still, its head slightly tilted, watching me. I slammed the brakes. The car skidded. I turned around. The back seat was empty. Nothing. I started shaking uncontrollably. "This isn't real, this isn't real," I kept repeating. But then, from behind me, a whisper, "You can't run." I screamed. I threw the car door open and stumbled out. I didn't even turn off the engine. I just ran into the darkness. I don't know how long I ran. Minutes, maybe hours, until I finally collapsed on the side of the road, breathing heavily. Everything was quiet again. Too quiet. Then suddenly, my phone buzzed again. I slowly took it out. Another message. This time, it was my home camera. Live footage. But I wasn't in the house anymore. So why was it active? I opened it. The camera showed my bedroom again. But something was different. The walls were covered in handprints, just like the mirror. And in the center of the room, it was standing there. But this time, it wasn't looking at the camera. It was looking somewhere else. I followed its gaze. The camera slowly turned and pointed toward the hallway. And then, I saw it. Another figure, standing in the hallway. Smaller. A child. Completely still. Its head slowly turned toward the camera. And then, it smiled. I stared at the screen. A child, standing in the hallway of that house. This didn't make sense. There was never supposed to be anyone else. The tall thing. I thought that was it. The only thing. But now, there was another. The child slowly stepped forward. "Talk." A softer sound this time. Lighter. It walked into the room, right past the tall figure. And the tall thing didn't move. It just stood there, watching, like it was waiting. The child stopped in the center of the room, its head tilted. Then slowly, it raised its hand and pointed at the camera, at me. My hand started shaking again. No, no, no. Then, the screen glitched. For a split second, the image changed. The child was closer. Too close. Its face, now visible. Pale, cracked, eyes completely black. And that smile, too wide. Then suddenly, the feed cut off. My phone screen went black. I dropped it. Everything was getting worse. This wasn't just one thing anymore. There were two. And somehow, they were connected. I remembered what the landlord said. The girl started talking to it. My chest tightened. That child was the girl. But then, what was the tall thing? A thought hit me. What if it wasn't just watching them? What if it was using her? My breathing got heavier. Then suddenly, my phone buzzed again. Another message. Unknown number. I hesitated, then opened it. A video. My fingers trembled as I pressed play. The footage looked old, grainy, like it was recorded years ago. A living room. That same house. A family sitting together. A mother, a father, and a little girl. She looked normal, happy. Then, the video jumped. Nighttime. The parents were asleep on the couch. The camera slowly moved toward the hallway. And there, the girl stood, facing the wall, not moving. Then slowly, she spoke. He's here. My skin went cold. The camera zoomed slightly. The wall in front of her moved, not cracked, not broken, moved, like something was inside it, trying to come out. Then, a long thin arm slid out of the wall. I dropped the phone again. No, no, no. That thing, it came from inside the house, not outside. It was always there, hidden, watching, waiting. And the girls, she saw it first, but instead of running, she talked to it. My mind started racing. What if that's how it works? What if it chooses someone, watches them, follows them, until they notice, until they see it, and then they belong to it? Just like the message said, you saw me. I felt sick. Then, a final message came. My heart dropped as I opened it. It was just one line. Come back. I shook my head violently. No, never. Then, another message. A picture. I opened it slowly and froze. It was my car, parked on the side of the road, the same place I left it. But in the back seat, the child was sitting there, smiling, waiting. I dropped the phone again. It wasn't asking anymore. It was bringing me back. I couldn't think straight anymore. That picture, the child sitting in my car, that meant one thing. It wasn't just following me. It was controlling where I go. I slowly turned my head toward the road, and there it was. My car, parked exactly where I left it. Engine still running, headlights still on. But something felt different now. The air around it felt heavy, like the space itself was wrong. I didn't want to go near it. Every instinct in my body was screaming, run. But then, my phone buzzed again. Another message. Get in. I froze. No, I whispered. Another message. You have to. My chest tightened. Then, the final message came. Or I'll come to you. Silence. The wind around me stopped. Even the night felt like it was holding its breath. I knew I had no choice. Slowly, step by step, I walked toward the car. Every step felt heavier than the last. My hands were cold. My heart beat loud. I reached the driver's door. For a few seconds, I just stood there. Then suddenly, the back door creaked open by itself. Creak. I froze. Slowly, I turned my head. The back seat, empty. The child was gone. Or worse, not visible. I swallowed hard and got in. The moment I sat down, the doors slammed shut. Lock. All of them. I grabbed the handle, tried to open it. Nothing. Then, the steering wheel moved slightly, on its own, and the car started moving. I wasn't driving anymore. It was. No, stop. The car accelerated. The road ahead was dark, endless. I tried to grab the wheel, but something pushed my hands away. Invisible, strong. Then, from the back seat, a soft voice. You came back. I froze. Slowly, I looked in the rearview mirror. The child was there again, sitting quietly, smiling, but this time, her eyes weren't black. They were empty, completely hollow. Then, her smile widened. He's waiting, she said. My chest tightened. Who? I whispered. She didn't answer. Instead, she pointed forward, at the road. I looked ahead, and my blood ran cold. The house, that same house, standing in the middle of nowhere, where there should have been nothing. The car slowed down and stopped right in front of it. The engine turned off. The doors unlocked. Click. Silence. I didn't move. I couldn't. Then, the child spoke again. Go. I shook my head. I'm not going in there. Her smile disappeared, and her voice changed. Deeper, colder. You don't have a choice. The air inside the car suddenly dropped. I could see my breath. Then, a long, thin arm slowly reached out from the darkness behind her, resting on the seat. Not hers, his. I screamed and threw the door open. I stumbled out of the car, fell onto the ground, then quickly looked back. The back seat was empty again. Nothing. The car was silent, like nothing ever happened. I slowly stood up and looked at the house. The door was open. Darkness inside, waiting. Then, from inside the house, that same whisper. You're home. My legs started shaking, but something pulled me forward. Not physically, mentally, like my mind wasn't fully mine anymore. Step by step, I walked toward the door. I wanted to stop. I tried, but I couldn't. As I reached the entrance, the darkness inside felt alive. Breathing, watching, waiting, and then, just before I stepped in, my phone buzzed one last time. I looked down. A final message. Don't look behind you. My heart stopped, because I already knew. I was going to, I should have listened. The message clearly said, don't look behind you. But I did. Slowly, I turned my head, and what I saw made my entire body go numb. Standing right behind me was that tall thing, closer than ever before. Its head bent unnaturally to the side. Its body, even taller than I remembered. Its arms, almost touching the ground. And its face, still nothing but darkness. except for those eyes. Wide, white, unblinking, staring directly into mine. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. Then, it leaned forward, slowly, until its face was just inches from mine, and in a low, distorted whisper, it said, "You saw me." My heart felt like it stopped. Then, from inside the house, the child's voice echoed, "Bring him in." The tall thing didn't move its eyes away from me, but I felt its hand, cold, long, wrapping around my arm. I tried to pull away, but it was too strong. It started dragging me toward the door. "No, let me go," I screamed. But my voice felt weak, distant, like I was losing control. Step by step, it pulled me closer. The darkness inside the house was getting deeper, thicker, like it was swallowing the light. Then, I saw her, the child, standing just inside the doorway, waiting, smiling. "You came back," she said softly. Tears started forming in my eyes. "Please let me go." Her smile faded slightly. "You saw him," she replied. "You're part of this now." My chest tightened. "No, I'm not." Then suddenly, the tall thing tightened its grip. Pain shot through my arm. And in that moment, something snapped inside me. Fear turned into desperation. I used all my strength and slammed my body backward. For a split second, its grip loosened. Just enough. I pulled my arm free and ran. I ran as fast as I could. Away from the house. Away from them. I didn't look back. I didn't stop. Branches scratched my skin. The ground felt uneven beneath my feet. But I kept running. Until suddenly, I tripped and fell hard onto the ground. Everything went silent. Too silent. Slowly, I lifted my head, and my blood turned cold. I wasn't outside anymore. I was inside. Back in the house. The hallway. The same hallway from the camera. The walls, covered in handprints. My breathing became shaky. No, no, no. I stood up slowly. This wasn't possible. I ran outside. So how? Then, from behind me. Talk. A step. Talk. Another. I turned around slowly. The tall thing stood at the end of the hallway, blocking the exit. And beside it, the child, smiling again. "You can't leave," she said. My legs felt weak. Then, something else moved. From the walls, hands, dozens of them, reaching out, stretching, trying to grab me. I screamed and backed away, but there was nowhere to go. The hallway felt smaller, closing in. Then, the child walked toward me. Slow, calm. "Don't be scared," she said. Her voice softer now, almost kind. "It only hurts at first." My eyes filled with fear. "What does?" I whispered. She stopped in front of me. Her smile widened, becoming part of the house. My heart dropped. Then, the tall thing moved again. Faster this time. Before I could react, it was right in front of me. And everything went black. Everything went black. No sound, no pain, no movement. Just emptiness. Slowly, I started to regain awareness. But it didn't feel like waking up. It felt like sinking. My eyes opened. and I was still inside the house. But everything had changed. The hallway wasn't normal anymore. It looked alive. The walls were breathing, slowly expanding, contracting. Like lungs, the handprints were no longer stains. They were moving, fingers twitching, trying to pull themselves free. I tried to move my hand, but I couldn't feel my body properly. It felt disconnected, like I wasn't fully inside myself anymore. Then I saw them. The child and the tall thing, standing at the end of the hallway, waiting, but something was different now. The child wasn't smiling. She looked tired, sad, and the tall thing wasn't just watching me anymore. It was waiting for something to complete. The child spoke softly. "It's almost done." My voice shook. "Done with what?" She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she pointed at me and said, "You're becoming it." My heart dropped. No, I'm not. But even as I said it, I felt it. Something inside me shifting. Like my thoughts weren't fully mine. Like something else was slowly filling the gaps. The tall thing took one step forward. "Talk." The sound echoed through the entire hallway. And with each step, I felt my body weakening. The child walked closer. And this time, she didn't look like a monster. She looked like someone who had been waiting too long. "I didn't want this," she whispered. My breathing became uneven. "What are you talking about?" She looked at me, and for the first time, her voice broke. "It doesn't leave, it only passes on." My stomach dropped. The truth hit me like a wave. This thing wasn't hunting, wasn't killing. It was transferring. I looked at the tall thing. No, it tilted its head, and I understood. It wasn't the first. It was the last one. The one that never leaves. The one that stays forever watching. The child stepped back, tears in her eyes. "I tried to stop it," she said softly. "But I saw it, and now it sees you." My body trembled. "No, please." But there was no escape. The walls started closing in. The house itself was pulling me deeper. The tall thing raised its hand, slowly, and placed it over my chest. Cold, heavy, and then it spoke directly inside my mind. Not with sound, but thought. "Stay." My vision blurred. My memories started mixing. My identity slipping. I tried to hold on, but everything around me was fading. The child looked away, like she couldn't watch anymore. "I'm sorry," she whispered. And then, the last thing I saw, the house stopped breathing. Everything became still, silent, and then, nothing. Videocassette epilogue. They say a new house was rented again. Same address, same cheap price. And the landlord, he still says the same thing. People don't stay here very long. But sometimes, at night, around 3 a.m., the neighbors say they see a light in the window and a shadow standing still, watching, waiting,